The weather is always this good in Boise, but you guys better be careful, because if the word gets out, you're going to be as populated as Southern California, where I'm from, and you do not want that to happen. So you can swear me to silence. Orange County, my friend. Orange County, good spot. But I am here actually representing our campaign. Governor Gary Johnson, I have been quoted as saying for a long time now, is the most qualified person to be President of the United States that I know of. In fact, just to give you a little bit of my background, I'm a former drug warrior. You know, I was a former federal prosecutor in Los Angeles. I was a Navy JAG attorney in Guam and Lemoore, California, criminal defense as well as prosecuting people. But after being in the... Okay, how do you do? Nice to see you. Thank you. Good for you. Thank you, sir. But after looking in my own courtroom at us churning low-level drug offenders through the system for no good purpose, I actually decided who better to talk about this than seemingly a conservative judge in a conservative county. I've never used any form of illicit substance. I have enough trouble with my cholesterol. I'm not going to use other things. And, you know, who better to get this word out than me? So I held a press conference, actually April the 8th of 1992, more than 20 years ago, saying our nation's drug policy is not working. We have to put our heads together and come up with something better. Better, we couldn't do it. Worse if we tried. So anything we would do would be better than this. The reason I'm bringing this up right now, though, is that actually in 1999, Governor Gary Johnson of New Mexico, the sitting governor of that state, actually did the same thing. He held a press conference and said he'd conducted his own what he called audit and has determined that our nation's drug policy flat out is not working and we simply must do something better. And then he implemented numbers of changes thereafter. So he got my attention, he should get yours. Governor Gary Johnson is a man of principle. He's a man that's actually read the Constitution and acts upon it. And he actually has courage. He didn't have any political constituency to do this. He had no, in fact, he took a lot of heat from doing it, even from his own drug czar, who quit, which is fine with him. But that he did this, and he's continuing to do this. He stands for these principles. He stands for action. He is what the people of the United States of America need. And you folks really need to help us by getting this word out to your email world. Tell them about Governor Gary Johnson. Send the link to our website, GaryJohnson2012.com. Send it to your world and request that your people also take it personally and send it on to theirs. There are other things going on as well, guys. You must know, and I'm sure you do, those great states of Colorado, Washington, and Oregon. Washington, and Oregon. How many of you know of people that vote in any one of those states? You've got to get on the horn. Your email, your phones, I don't care, you can tweet or Twitter or whatever you want to call it today. But contact anybody you know that votes in Colorado, Oregon, or Washington and tell them to support the initiatives to regulate marijuana like alcohol. They've got to pass. This will be a revolutionary type of thing that we will really gain back our freedoms and our ability as adults to decide what and when we want to put things into our bodies. It is categorically important that we actually look at that federal government, thumb our noses at them and say, get out of town. This is our issue, not yours. We can do that. Any farming going on in Idaho? Any farming at all? Huh? Maybe a little bit of hemp might help the agricultural products here in Idaho. I'm sure you know about hemp. Actually, 4 times more paper pulp from an acre of hemp than an acre of trees. It takes something in the order of 8 or 9 months to grow the hemp and 20 years to grow the trees. So we are importing. I'm sure there's a lot of hemp products here at this festival, but they all come from where? From Canada, from other countries. It's $1 billion export from Canada into the United States. It's crazy. It's crazy. We're going to change that. We're going to change the laws in Idaho and our country to treat hemp like cotton, just like any other industrialized product. That's what we need to do. These initiatives in those 3 states will help that be accomplished. So this is a hugely important election. Other things. We actually are on one side and Romney and Obama are on the other. Romney and Obama are in favor of continuing the war on drugs. Gary Johnson, Judge Jim Gray are not. You can talk about our military. I am the only one of the 6 of us running for president or vice president that's actually been in the military. In fact, somewhat unusual circumstance, I was actually awarded a combat action ribbon on a training cruise when I was actually still at USC Law School, and I was sent to the rivers of Vietnam for the summer. So that was really kind of interesting. But I've seen what happens when you have troops sent into harm's way that are not provisioned. That will not happen under the Gary Johnson, Judge Jim Gray administration. However, Romney and Obama are the same. They are continuing to send our troops into military conflicts around the world. Right now we're in the Sudan, for heaven's sakes. How many of you people feel the Sudan is a security threat to the United States of America? Or Somalia, or Yemen, or Afghanistan? We are the ones that will bring our troops home from Afghanistan now. Not in 2014, not sometime in the future, but now. We're not accomplishing anything positive there, and we will bring our troops home. And by the way, we can't afford it. So these are things, if you're concerned about a security threat, if you're concerned about a security threat to the United States of America, the biggest security threat is what? It's a weak economy. And guess what happened to ancient Rome? The Roman Empire, never defeated from without. They overextended and collapsed from within. Guess where we are today? Same thing happened with regard to the Ottoman Empire, the Soviet Empire. They weren't defeated from without. They overextended and collapsed from within. So these are things, again, Governor Gary Johnson, Judge Jim Gray are on one side, Romney and Obama. In fact, they're so much the same, we call them Robomney. They're the same on the same sides of the issues, and we're on the other side. Get these words out there. And when it comes down to it, you know, it sounds like defeatist talk because we are running to win this election. And if we can be seen as viable, we're more qualified and more able than anyone else. And as you all know, Romney's support is soft. Really, more than 50% of the people that right this minute are planning on voting for Romney are really just voting against Obama. And the same thing is true in reverse. More than half the people that are planning on putting an X by Obama's name are just voting against Romney. They'll never vote for the other one. They will vote for us if we're seen as viable. So that's where we're going, and we can do this with your help. Again, take it personally. Take it upon yourself to contact your email world and let them know about this. Send them our website, etc. But as a fallback position, and this sounds defeatist, but it's a fallback position. If we only get 5% of the vote, just 5% of the vote will mean that we will be entitled to competing to matching funds from the federal government in 2016, and we'll also be able to be on the ballot when any state we get 5% or more without jumping through all these hoops and getting all of the signatures and everything else. It will be the end of the two-party system in the United States of America. That is a good thing. That would make the radical elements on each side go more into the mainstream. Because we're the only ones in the mainstream today. We are financially responsible and socially tolerant. No one's going to accuse Obama of being financially responsible. Nobody at all. And nobody is going to accuse Romney of being socially tolerant. No one at all. We are in that political mainstream. So we are the ones. And you listen to all of these problems going on in our world today, and we have responses. We have resolutions to these problems. They don't. For example, you've all seen Romney and Obama's ads, right? They're spending hundreds of millions of dollars on the radio and television, filling up your your mailboxes with all of this stuff. Are they talking about their record? No, they can't. They don't have a record to talk about, either one. Are they talking about their ideas? No, again. How many of you have seen any of their ads expressing new ideas? I haven't. Neither of you. But what are they talking about? They're simply saying how inept the other one is. And you know something? We agree with both of them. We are qualified. We are able. We are more experienced. We have more ideas. And we will be able to actually implement what we call a coalition government. Yes, we will have libertarians and independents highly placed in our administration, but we'll also have Republicans and Democrats as long as they agree with our approach of being financially responsible and socially tolerant. And then, when we have these political problems, you have that bipolar politics going on in Washington today, we'll be able to have some of their own members, Republicans or Democrats, going out, hey, come on, guys, get together. This is a good idea. Embrace it. We'll give recognition and credit to anybody that has a good idea, anybody that embraces a good idea, and get away from this partisan politics going on so rampantly in Washington today. Yet another reason to vote for whom? Governor Gary Johnson and Judge Jim Gray, I should say. So with that, I am here to spread this word, but we are small, we are mighty. I'm going around the country talking to various people, but you need to take this personally. That's what needs to happen. This is your country. In fact, I talk about my generation. I'm older than most of you. My generation has really made a mess of this. Financially, we have really caused our problems. And our children are the ones that are going to have to pay it back, and our grandchildren are bankrupt. So if you're not taking it personally, you're going to fit in somewhere between my grandchildren and my children, or whatever your age is. You better take it personally, because it's your future, it's your country, and we are in deep trouble financially as well as from a civil rights standpoint. Because what is the soul of the United States of America? What is the thing that separates us from the rest of the world? It's our civil liberties, it's our freedoms, and our soul today is under attack by our very own government. Who stands in the way of having that be perpetuated? Governor Gary Johnson. The so-called Patriot Act? No, direct frontal attack on our civil liberties. In fact, honestly, I was a lifelong Republican until the passage of the so-called Patriot Act, when I decided as a matter of conscience I could not be a part of any group that would condone, much less assist, this direct frontal attack on our civil liberties. And I left the Republican Party. It took me about 9.5 seconds to determine I am a libertarian. I've always been a libertarian, and I always will be a libertarian from there on after. We will repeal the Patriot Act. Romney will not. Governor Johnson will. The so-called National Defense Authorization Act. Do you know what it is? You know, anybody, citizen or not, could be rendered, labeled a terrorist. By whom? By the Obama administration, by the executive department. What happens then? We could be detained, translation, arrested, held without trial, without any charges pending against us, and actually rendered, which means we could be deported to another country. It used to be Egypt, you'd be tortured. Who knows where it would be today? This is not what the United States of America stands for. Governor Gary Johnson will repeal the National Defense Authorization Act. Romney have embraced it as their own. It goes on and on, folks. Guantanamo. We heard President Obama, when he was running, say first thing he'd do is close down Guantanamo. Has it happened? Is it still there? Is it a blight, a bleeding sore on the soul of the United States of America? We say we will close down Guantanamo and put this to an end. Not what the United States of America stands for. So there we go. I could go on. In fact, now I'm getting warmed up and getting excited, so it must be time to take questions. But there's so much to talk about. We have some answers. And even if you don't agree with us, we can tell you where we stand. You will agree with us on the main things. If you don't, we're not always going to agree on the smaller things, but as we say in one of our ads, how many of you seen some of the ads on YouTube for Governor Gary Johnson? Not enough people. They're brilliant, and they're actually truthful. Imagine that. But one of them is, look, just be libertarian with us this one election. Just be libertarian with us in 2012. And if for some reason prosperity, equal opportunity, and freedom doesn't work for you, you can always, 4 years from now, vote back politics as usual. Is that what you want? That's what you're going to get unless you take it personally and help Governor Gary Johnson get into the White House. And I'll be there too. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate the opportunity. Take this personally, and I'll be around to answer any personal questions that you may have. Thank you so much, and big prayer.